Sit up straight, Baton Rouge. He's back. Roll it, Bobby. Well, guess who's back in town like he really never left? Mr. Investigative Reporter Chris Nakamoto. The last time I saw you, we were someplace else. We'll talk about that in the podcast coming up. So, man, so for people who are happy to see you back here in town, let's talk a little bit about that. Coming over to WAFB, how's that transition been?
It's been fantastic. Haven't quite started just yet, but I was just trying to follow you, Clay.
That's what we'll talk about on the podcast. That's kind of exactly how it happened. So, listen, investigative reporting, and, again, Chris is going to be on the C-suite this week, or next week, really, and then the week after, we're going to do a podcast that we split into 2 episodes. Let's talk about the art of investigative reporting, man. You've been one of the best at it ever, and you've done some work nationally as well. What's your approach?
So our biggest approach, I think, to investigative reporting involves making sure that the tip is vetted, making sure that we have both sides, and making sure that we're fair. Yeah. I feel like there's so much ammunition now to question what journalists are doing across all of America.
Yeah.
And so making sure that you stick by those fundamental principles, just being fair and making sure that you have both sides of a story and that you're properly vetting what you're doing. So many times, there's so many rumors out there with social media and stuff like that, and just being able to vet the stories and just have the community trust what you're doing, it really is impactful and meaningful.
You and I were chatting in your office a little while ago about that work, and you never weaponize what you do to hurt anyone, and I think that there has been kind of a recession of trust from the public because people see the weaponization of it on either side of the political aisle. Tell me how you avoid that, because you've never really done it. How do you avoid that, not getting caught into that trap?
Well, that's a really good question, because certainly a lot of the stories that we used to do at my old station, they weren't always popular, right? So when no one in Louisiana likes corruption, okay? Everybody hates it.
Except maybe the people being corrupt.
But the minute you do a story about somebody's friend or family member or somebody that they're associated with, it's like, I can't believe that this person did this about you. So it becomes a situation where it's not necessarily about the story that you did anymore, it's about this person and that. So the way that we tried to avoid being a weapon in society was to make sure that we were able to vet our stories, making sure we had both sides, and show the public how we used every avenue to try to get their response. So if we were doing a story about some corrupt official and we wound up going to ask them for an interview, we would show the process that we would do. We would show the lengths that we went to try to get them for an interview. So it wasn't just this gotcha journalism that I think has come to be recently, but we always made it a point to just make sure that we had both sides and gave people an opportunity to respond.
I know for you, one of the things that we're looking at the clips from the promo, which was pretty hilarious. The coyones on y'all to do that, where you did it was just hilarious. But talk about the fact that people would call you. If the public would call to ask for you to look into something on their behalf, there can be no greater honor than that.
Everything about our life is based upon trust, right? So if you trust somebody, you're going to confide in them, you're going to reach out to them when you're maybe at your lowest of lows. And so that's built through years of hard work. It doesn't happen overnight. And to have the community trust you, to have them call you with tips and to say, hey, look, this is happening, or hey, look, you need to look into this. That comes through decades of just trust and just experience. And a lot of that is missing, I feel like, in our across America right now. And the fact that Gray has just made meaningful investments in investigative reporting, investigative journalism, I really feel like that's what's going to carry us for generations to come, because that's ultimately why we're trying to watch the news, to make sure that if there's something wrong that's happening, we can hold people accountable.
Some of the luster on the news has gone away because of how some have approached it, I believe, over the last couple of decades. And I think you're right. It used to be appointment television to watch the news, to find out what's happening in your community, what's happening in our country, what may be happening globally. And I think some of the luster has come off of that. But there are people like yourself who do still maintain that trust with the public. How do we get more of that, man?
I think the public is really tired of sensationalism.
Yeah.
They want the facts. They want it told to them in the straight and narrow, right? They don't want anything extra. They don't want opinions. So if you are able to tell your story, show the public, here's how we arrived at this, here's what's happening, show them the process, I think it allows trust building, and it also is able to show the public, hey, look, like this is what happened. These are the steps that we took, and it wasn't just something that came out of the sky.
Right, right. Listen, man, in 2025, we're going to be working together on a lot of stuff. I'm excited to have you here and a part of the team. I know a lot of people are nervous to have the angel of death back in the media in Baton Rouge, but it's so great because you've earned the respect of the public, and I do think accountability is very, very important. So Chris is also going to be on the podcast. We'll talk about him getting into media. He's a family man, a Baton Rougean. Although you haven't seen him, he's been here. So it's not like he never moved. And so we'll tell you that story and talk about where we're going. We'll talk about the place we were both before and then being here right now at WAFB. But the investigative reporter, Chris Nakamoto, brother, looking forward to working with you.
Thank you for having me, and I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful for the community's support. Like, it's been remarkable and such a blessing.
All right, so we'll come back and talk with a couple of young ladies from here who are actresses, and they were, the last time I saw them, they were at our old stomping grounds, and they'll be here to talk with us next.
Love it.
Well, let's talk about local talent here with these very pretty young ladies. Peyton and Paris, actresses from right here in Baton Rouge. The last time I saw them, I was doing this show somewhere else, and they were a little smaller than that, and Peyton sounded a lot younger than she does now. So Abbott Elementary is something that you guys have done. You've done commercials. Some of you may have seen them in a commercial that's running right now for Our Lady of the Lake, and they've shot a bunch of commercials. So let's talk about it. How are y'all?
Good.
I hadn't seen y'all in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
How old are y'all now?
I'm 10.
I'm 12.
10 and 12 years old, and we were talking about sports and how you do soccer when you get a chance to. And
yes.
You ran track for how long?
6 months.
6 months. Let's talk about getting into acting. I know your mom is here off camera with us, and she helps y'all and gets y'all around. Let's talk about getting into acting. How's that been?
It's been pretty fun, actually. We've been getting a lot of auditions for certain things.
Yeah. I was told that there was a non-disclosure agreement about some stuff that they're doing, so they can't really give us the scoop on what they're acting in right now. But you got some projects coming in 2025, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had just finished filming for a Rocket Mortgage commercial.
Yeah.
And then the movie that we can't talk about comes out December 5th of 2025.
The movie that they can't talk about. If we keep talking long enough, I'll get them to tell me what that movie is, right? So let's talk about the experience of acting at such young ages. How's it been?
It's been really easy, very fun. Some parts of it's been hard, like when I did a movie called Sin, the movie. I did Abbott Elementary. It was either Queen Sugar or Queen of the South. It's just been really, really fun.
So what's your process at such a young age memorizing lines?
It's been super easy for me because I have it's easy to remember lines because I remember for Sin, I had to memorize
26 pages.
26 pages.
26 pages. How long did it take you?
I would say a good 30 minutes.
30 minutes for 26 pages. I'm sure Bobby fell off his chair in Master Control back in the back. But what's your long-term plans? I mean, y'all are still young. You got a lot of time to figure it out. But what's your plan?
For acting?
Yeah.
We're planning to continue until we start like 50 or something. Like until we fully develop how long we want to do it.
That's not that old. I'm just saying.
It's not. It's not.
Yeah, and then who's someone that you met in acting in your career that you were very excited to meet and maybe imparted some wisdom into y'all?
You can go ahead.
Well, I had met Quinta Burnson. She's very nice. Like, we absolutely adore her. And she met Josh Hutcherson when she was 7 or 6.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they give y'all any advice that you could share?
I'm not really sure. Paris, did she give you any advice?
She had told me that it was very good for me to come to set with Peyton to support her, and it was really nice for me to be there.
Yeah.
And she said that to always like look after her and be there for her.
Well, you guys are very close. Y'all get along. You're both in acting, and I just enjoy talking. Look at those pictures right there, y'all, that they're running on the screen. So, I mean, look, I'm super proud of y'all. You know, you guys always have a spot here. Now you know where we are doing this over here, and you're still not going to tell us what the project is for later this year. You can't tell us what the project is for later this year. You can't. All right, so, you know, these young ladies have, as you can see, done a lot of things, both in television and in commercials. So look, for your peers, for people your age, for kids your age, you may want to get into acting or music or whatever. Is there anything you would share with them?
Maybe just to, if you don't get it right away, it's perfectly fine, because when I first started acting, I didn't really get all of my lines right away. I would get frustrated. Sometimes I would even cry if I didn't get it right. But everything will be fine. You'll end up getting it, and you'll end up filming it right. You'll end up getting picked. As long as you just manifest it, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, just like our motto, it's called dream it, believe it, see it, achieve it.
They were both born 40. You could tell. What school do y'all go to?
EBR Virtual Academy.
Yeah. What's your favorite class?
Most definitely science. I just like learning about wildlife and stuff. It's just really cool for me.
I like math and ELA.
Math.
Math?
Paris and Peyton, you'll see them again. We'll get them to do the podcast at some point next year as well. And then I'll try to work with them on telling me what that movie is that they're doing that they can't tell us about. Thank y'all, ladies. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right, back with the Grinch, otherwise known as Gordy Rush. We'll do that next. And here's where you can catch the show. It streams on WAFB.com and on the app. You can catch it on WAFB Plus, Fridays 7 p.m., replaying Saturday at 3 p.m. I tried to tell y'all way back in September when this dude picked my team,
Niners,
to win the Super Bowl. I told y'all we're not going to make the playoffs.
No.
And what happened? From the moment he said that, we just fell down a flight of stairs. It's the most vindictive thing I've ever seen a human do. You picked us so we would lose.
I did. I wanted to come clean. I can't lie to you. You're too good a man. I've been rooting against your team for a number of years, and they continue to win and get to the NFC Championship. They've made a Super Bowl, so I decided to do it a little bit different this year. I was going all in on the Niners, and look at us now, baby. We're 6-8, last place in the NFC West, and everybody's been hurt this year. You can thank me now.
You should count your blessings that A, Paris and Peyton are still here, standing about 15 feet from me.
They are very talented.
And that we are on television, and I do not want to get gray media fined by the FCC much as I would like to. But that is the most low-down thing. We've known each other over 20 years, and the fact that you have that little regard for our friendship, and I knew when you picked the team what you were doing.
Yeah. I mean, I was all in on the Niners, baby. I mean, I went and got the mascot, the little guy, the gold
so now
miner.
Voodoo now.
I've got him, and come to find out, I mean, every week somebody's getting hurt. No Christian McCaffrey. My man Kittle's been injured throughout the season. Defense has been a shell of what they usually are. And your Niners, here's the good thing. Y'all going to get a good draft pick. You're going to get a good draft pick.
Which is the most insulting thing you could tell somebody. You get to pick early in the draft.
Yeah, you sure do. You'll be right around the Saints. Saints and the Niners. We could high five. Maybe we could watch those two picks together, back to back.
All right, let's talk about LSU and the bowl game that's coming up on New Year's Day against Baylor over in Houston. But before we get to the bowl game, give me your thoughts on this season.
Well, I think that what we've seen now in college football, Clay, is a transfer portal and NIL, I think, just leveling the playing field. And no longer do you have the great programs.
Yeah.
And no longer do you have a bad program. Vanderbilt can go get the best players from New Mexico State, which have never happened in our lifetime. And all of a sudden, they're more competitive. They beat Alabama. They beat Auburn this year. They had quite a season.
Vanderbilt beat Alabama.
They're the Alabama state champs. That's right. They beat Alabama and Auburn this year and really gave Texas a good run. I mean, Texas had to beat them by 3 points. Look, Alabama can't stock three deep on the defensive line. Georgia's just not exceptional running the football this year, and I think you get a lot of good football. And what it makes for is really interesting Saturdays from the standpoint anybody can beat anybody on any given Saturday. I think home field advantage plays more of a factor, and I think all these fan bases in the SEC are just going to have to adjust to the fact that I don't think you're going to have 12-0 and 11-1 much more. It's going to be 10-2 to 8-4 is where the majority of the programs in this league are going to fall. And look at it, you got 13 teams out of 16 in bowl games.
It's interesting, the quality of football at the next level. I wonder if it's going to take a dip because so many kids hopping around and not being as focused on the art of football as they have been in the past.
I don't know about the NFL. I would tell you this. I would tell you that I think again, the SEC champs this year, which was Georgia, they beat Texas. They would have lost to the 2019 LSU team by 21 points. And I think you're just not as deep, you're not as talented, and it's harder to build continuity. When you have kids coming in and out of your program every year, you've got to start from scratch, teaching them your fundamentals and how you want to run your defense. And I think the end product on the field isn't quite as good, but again, it's level across the board.
So I got less than a minute. There has been a mixed reaction this year on the job done by Coach Kelly. What are your thoughts? I mean, he's not going anywhere. They owe him about $60 million. So, but what are your thoughts? 30 seconds on how he's done and what he needs to do to be better next year.
Look, I think there's some things that he could have done better. Yeah, you know, at 8-4, it was a tough play. You look across the SEC and see some of that. I think offensively, I think they struggled to find their identity. They found it in the back half of the year, and then you got to be able to run the football. And that was probably the biggest disappointment this year. He's a good coach. He'll figure it out. He's had a great transfer portal.
I'm not even going to ask you who you're picking because I'm afraid you might pick LSU in this game. And so I've seen how that goes. We have seen how that goes.
So I won't pick a team in the bowl game. I just come on the show to jinx anybody. And plus, you know, the bowl games, you don't know. You don't know who's going to win a bowl game. The playoffs, everybody's playing, and they're playing for purpose. You just wonder, you know, what's the intention of the bowl season's crazy. I'm not going to pick on them.
Please put something on the screen that I can talk about so he can shut up. Let's talk about the C-Suite, the podcast that airs every Monday on WAFB.com and on the app. This coming week, Chris Nakamoto and not Gordy Rush. For the love of God, let's go to break.
Go Niners.
So this is actually somebody I enjoy talking with about sports, not Gordy Rush, who, by the way, is completely out of the building now. Dr. Jam, Jamira Mitchell, is here to talk about name, image, and likeness, and it's so interesting. So let's start. Where do you grade this right now? Because it's turned college athletics upside down.
Okay, so I am a teacher by trade. So are we going on a curve or are we going?
I was told there would be no testing today. But overall, do you think, okay, let's look at it this way. How has it worked out for the athletes? How has it worked out for the systems, the conferences, and NCAA as a whole?
Okay, well, I think we can start on a D.
For the athletes or overall?
Overall.
Really?
We still haven't gotten to the point of giving quality education.
Okay.
So student athletes and even parents and coaches think that name, image, and likeness is just about making money.
Right.
But it's not just about making money. It's about building a brand and building that brand to become a sustainable brand.
Yeah.
And I think the questioning is, how do we continue to sustain a brand?
Okay.
So we establish the brand, the player gets paid, which we are wonderful. We're glad that's happening. But then what do they do after that? What do they do with the money? So we have to talk about taxation.
Yeah.
We have to talk about, of course, building the brand, sustaining the brand, and then after school, what?
Well, then, you know, you make $1.5 million. You go buy your mom a $500,000 house, cash money.
Yeah.
There is no revenue put anywhere to pay the property taxes or maintain the building.
Exactly.
And in 10 years, your mama's out on the street.
Yeah, and so are you.
And so are you.
Because you decided to invest.
And so I love that. And I've even thought that at the pro level,
Yes.
that there is an absence of financial literacy about finances.
Yes, and
right?
the question is, what is financial literacy? Because that can be defined many ways. Financial literacy could be looked from the aspect of you have $2, how do you invest this $2 to make $5? Or it could be looked from the aspect of you have no money, so how do you make money and sustain this money? So you also have to define the definition of financial literacy.
So let's talk about how you would assist some of these college athletes, because it's not just football, it's a number of sports. How would you assist them?
Well, I think I would start at the high school level, because in Louisiana, high school student athletes can monetize from their name, image, and likeness. So you would have to start this conversation possibly at the high school level, possibly in year 8.5, which would be year 8 and the second semester, so that can prepare them for 9th grade year. So there are a lot of parents that are, as we see, taking measures into their own hands earlier, where they are the brains behind their younger children's social media. So establishing a brand early and then moving into that conversation.
Well, let me ask you, if a parent is watching and has a high school athlete, male or female, and they know that this kid's ability is going to pay for his or her education and potentially give him an opportunity at NIL money, where would you recommend them to start in terms of getting information? Should they just call you?
Talk me.
That was kind of an easy one right there, but they should talk to Dr. Jam. But what's step one?
So step one is having that conversation. Even though your student athlete may be talented, the question is he or she only talented at their school level? Are they talented on the state level? Are they talented national rank? So you have to have that tough conversation and establish it. But the great thing about NIL is you don't have to have 1 million followers to make $1 million.
I like that. Where can people, quickie, I got 20 seconds, where can people find Dr. Jam?
Sure. LinkedIn. Jamira Mitchell, PhD, and also on Instagram at the NIL Spot Podcast.
Come on in here, girls. Come on, hustle up. Listen, y'all have a great holiday weekend leading into Christmas, a safe Christmas. Eat a whole lot, enjoy your family, be happy. God bless you all. Here's where you can catch me on the socials and my email address. God bless.